Budget your laundry expenses. Check if your budget covers your weekly or monthly laundry needs. And plan for the future, saving up for your very own washer and dryer. Let's get started and make laundry budgeting simple and stress-free. Step 1. We want to input the costs and the budget. Okay? So the first cost is the cost for a wash cycle. The second cost is the cost for the dry cycle. And your total laundry budget. How much money you've set aside for laundry. Okay? Go ahead and enter these values. We're going to just write them down. For example, it costs $1.75 for a wash and $1.50 for the dry cycle. Then finally, you're going to put in your total laundry budget. Let's say, for example, you have $55 set aside for laundry. Okay? Now here comes step 2. We're going to do the calculation. So first, it's really like an algebra problem. Let's go ahead and calculate how many full laundry loads you can do within your budget. A full load includes both a wash cycle and a dry cycle. So there's 2 ways to go about it. Either you can just add up both the wash cycle and dry cycle costs, and then divide your total budget by the cost per load to see how many loads you can afford. So let's see how much that turns out to be. All right, with a wash cycle of $1.75 and a dry cycle of $1.50, it will be $3.25 per load. So with a $55 budget, we'll see that we have the ability to wash 16 loads. Now, you leave off any decimal portion because we're going to use that decimal portion later on. So 16 loads. So really you have to decide if that's enough. 16 loads, is that going to cover you for the whole month? If so, how many people are in your family? Maybe there might be 2 loads that you can do per week, or 3 or 4. You know, it's really up to you at that point how much it will be. So let's see if the budget is enough for your laundry needs. On average, one person needs 2 to 3 loads per week. Okay, so a family of 4 may need 8 to 12 loads per week. So I'm going to base it off of my family of 3. So, and say that we need 2 loads per week. 2 loads per week for a family of 3 means we need 6 loads per week. And then I would put in 6 loads per week into my application that we're building, and then that will calculate whether or not we're going to have enough. Um, 6 times 4 is 24. Well, 24 is not quite enough for our 16 loads. So $55 is not enough for a family of 3. So this is where you have to increase your budget or decrease the amount of loads per week. We might have to take it down to 1 load per person per week, and that will give us 3 loads per week. And then 3 times 4 is going to give us 12. So that will give us enough to have 3 loads per week for a family of 3, 12 loads for 4 weeks. And then that leaves us with a remainder. And so we'll take that remainder to determine how long we're going to need to save up for our own washer and dryer. Okay? So we can afford 6 full loads for a household. Okay? Now let's plan for the future. A washer and dryer can save you time and money in the long run. We'll figure out how many weeks it will take to save up for these appliances based on your remaining budget. How much do the washer and dryer cost together? Let's see. Let's say, for instance, it's $1,200 for a washer and dryer set. How much of budget remaining do we have after the expenses each week? Well, we did say that we're going to reduce it to 1 load per week per person, giving us $4 and at least 4 loads, 4 loads worth, plus the other remainder. Okay, so that will be our savings, our laundry savings. And then you take and divide the cost of the appliances, $1,200, divide that by the remaining, and that'll tell you how long it will take. Okay. You can afford that, and I'm going to go ahead and do the demonstration. That way we can track our weekly laundry spending, set aside some money for each week, and then use this tool to get to our goal. Let's see if we can continue going from math to code. Now we want to code our app. Basically we know what we need to add to our code and we know the math behind it. But we're going to just let generative see how successful we could be with generative AI. We'll go ahead and add on and give a prompt. We'll give a prompt to the REPLIT assistant and see what they give us. So just give me a moment while I get that over. Okay, so I hope now you can see my screen. There it is. Okay, so I think now you can see my screen. I'm in REPLIT and I'm going to start by hold on, adding. So what I did, I started the laundry budget app and I have an assistant here, and then it's asking me what I want to do. I can generate code with AI. Let's see what that does. We need to enter a prompt to generate the new code. So my prompt would say, I would like to calculate the laundry budget given the cost to wash and the cost to dry and the budget amount. Then the average number of loads per week is given to determine how many loads. Okay, no, determine the maximum number of loads for the budget. Then make the remainder a savings budget so that we can save each week towards a given goal amount for a new washer and dryer set. Okay, I think that might be enough information. We want the result will be the time it takes to save for the appliances. And so that would be the yeah, I think we'll see what it does with that. Usually what I do is I just accept whatever it gives me. Okay, so I'm looking at the code and it says there's a function called calculate laundry budget, and it takes in a wash cost, the dry cost, the budget, the weekly loads, and then the goal amount. And then it goes and it says cost per load is equal to the cost plus the dry cost. Okay. And then the max load is equal to the budget divided by the cost per load. Okay. And then the savings budget is going to be the remainder of that amount. Okay. Because notice there's a modulus here. And then savings per week will be the savings budget plus the weekly loads minus the max loads times the cost per load. Okay. And then if the savings week is greater than 0, then the weeks to save is going to be that. If the savings week is less than, oh, hold on. Otherwise, the weeks to save is going to be infinite. Oh, wow. Okay. Or I guess undefined. Okay, so then we're going to return the max loads, the savings budget, and the weeks to save. Okay, great. So there's a default here saying the wash cost is $5 and the dry cost is $3 and the budget. So what they did in here is that they went ahead and gave some default values so we could test the code. Now what we can do, we can go ahead and accept this and run it and get our values, but then we'll go ahead and modify the code as well. Okay. And really right now we don't need this assistant. I'm going to make sure you can see my screen. I wish I did have dual screens. But I think so. I think you're able to see it. Alright, great. So, let's continue on. Um, and I tried to make it bigger so you could see. So, what I'm going to do is run the code and see. Now, this is a command line. Of course, you can do a lot of different ways. You can do a graphical user interface, but just for the purposes of this demonstration of generative AI, I'm just making it really simple. Okay, so we're gonna look and see that they gave a max number of loads is 12. The savings budget was 4. Weeks to save for is infinity. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our numbers in, the ones that we calculated at first. So we're going to say that the wash cost was $1.75. Okay, and then we'll say the dry cost was $1.50. And then the budget we said was $55. And then the weekly loads we said we calculated these two. Two per person? No, just one per person. Um, oh, okay. I think it was 6 per week. So we'll just say 6. And then the goal amount we'll say is the $1,200 that we talked about before. And let's go ahead and run it again and see what happens. Okay, so a max number of loads is 16. The saving budget was 3, and the weeks to save for the appliances, it turned out to be infinity, which I think that's about wrong. Okay, so let's see. I think that we need to revisit this calculate weekly savings towards a goal. So, savings per week is savings budget, because I know we have to divide the amount that we have, or the goal amount, and divide that by how many, you know. So I think this calculation right here is wrong. We need to fix this. We're trying to calculate the number of weeks it will take to reach the goal amount. So what I will do is I say calculate number of weeks to reach goal amount. And then what I'll do is I'll highlight this. See, I already know how to calculate it, right? Because we already did the calculation, but I'm going to go ahead and click on this modify with assistant and see if they can go ahead and calculate number of weeks it will take to reach the goal amount. Okay? Alright, so let's see what it does this time. Determine the number of weeks needed to save the goal amount. Oh, I think what we need to do is subtract. I think we'll reject because it really didn't change anything. Oh, okay, so what it did is it said the savings, it just changed the comment back to what it was before. So savings per week is going to be the saving budget minus the cost per load, right? So the savings budget, no, it's not really. It's the savings. It's going to be the goal, the savings goal. Let me see. Save. Yeah, the goal amount. Where's the goal amount? Okay, so it's going to be the goal amount. Savings per week. Okay. Weekly. Let me just try to understand what it was saying. So the savings budget. Do we have a savings budget? There is no savings budget. Oh, okay. Okay, so the savings budget is how much we have after we've, okay. But it's not really the cost per load, is it? Okay, so I see what it's trying to do. It's saying that the savings budget is equal to the budget, the remainder after the budget, but it actually needs to be, uh, it has to be that the weekly loads or the max loads. Let's see, weekly loads minus the max loads. The weekly loads minus the max loads times the cost per load. I think it's making it more complicated. Okay, so if the savings per week is going to be the remainder times the max loads, I think we need to do our savings budget to multiply by the max loads. No. Okay, so if the max loads was 16, for example, then we need to be able to divide the budget divided by the cost per load. Okay, so that's the 55 divided by the 325, right? Okay, so 55 divided by that gives us the 16. So then we have 16 is the max loads. Got it. Now the savings budget is going to be how many loads we do per week, right? So it's going to be savings budget is going to be the well, I'm not supposed to code, so this is what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go ahead and ask the modifying assistant to make the savings budget based on the um, let's see, household um, size. Okay, so and I think we used one, right? I think we used, see, okay, so that's what they didn't account for based on the household size. Um, and then loads, weekly loads. Okay, so weekly loads. Okay, based on the weekly loads. Okay, so that's what we're going to do based on the weekly loads. Times the household okay, let's just say family size. Okay, I think we got it. Yeah, so weekly loads is on a per person basis, so that way, okay, weekly loads times the family size. So we need to add, so add the family size as a parameter, and then that way we can multiply that savings. So the savings budget is going to be based on the weekly loads times the family size. Um, so the weekly loads. So say we put 1 at first, and then the family size is 3. So and then times. Okay, so say multiply the result um, multiply the size. Oh well, okay. Total loads. Okay, so let's say total loads. Okay, and then okay, total loads per week. Okay, so that will create a total loads per week. And then add the family size as a parameter. Multiply the total loads to uh, to the cost per load. So the savings budget, add the family size of the friend, multiply the total loads to the cost per load. And subtract from max loads. I think that's right. So that would give us our savings. Okay, no. That would give us our savings budget. And subtract from the cost. Oh, cost of max loads. Okay, I think that's right. Let's see what it does. Let's say calculate savings based on the total loads per week. Let's see, total loads per week is the weekly loads times the family size. And subtract that. Okay, so we're going to accept that. Okay, so they did add the family size, but they didn't put family size in the, so what it has said, family size is not defined. And I did ask it to make the family size a parameter, but it didn't do it. Okay, so code repair suggestion says that we need to assume a family size of 2 for this example. No, that's not what we want. We want to make it a define. We want to make it a parameter. Make the family size a parameter of this function. Okay, let's see if it did it. No. Okay, so I think maybe I need to, okay, I'm gonna reject it because it didn't do what I asked it to do. So I'm gonna do a control A and then do the modify, because that way I think it will okay, so create a family size parameter for the calculate laundry budget function. Okay, let's see what it does this time. There it is. Okay, so if you look at line 2, you'll see now we have a family size. Okay, so family size equal 4. We don't need the, okay, well, they did give family size here, and then they put family size in as a argument. Yes, we're going to accept that because that looks right. So now let's see if we can get something other than infinity when we run this code. Minus 17. Yeah, that's not right. Savings budget is not calculating correctly. Okay, so Okay, so savings budget, I did change to a plus sign, so maybe that's why. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Um, determine the number of weeks needed to save. Really? Okay, so I'm gonna just hit Control A. I'm gonna say it's not calculating because I want to just code it myself, but it's not. Not the point of this demonstration. So it's kind of failing me at this point. Okay, so let's modify with assistant and say the savings per week should be the difference of the weekly amount for the total number of loads. There is an error with the savings budget. Okay. Okay, so it's doing something. Let's review what it has come up with before we accept it. See, the thing is, it's going to give us a recommendation for a modification. And I don't think I really explained that. I was just kind of like reading it as if you already knew, and I apologize for that. But basically, the red parts, let me see if I can make it a little bigger. The red parts are what they're going to take away if I accept, and then the green parts are what they're going to add once I accept, okay, the code. All right, so they're going to take away max loads equals budget divided by cost, and then they're going to put total loads per week equals the weekly loads times the family size. Um, it's really kind of like, okay, total weekly cost. So that's good. They put in the total weekly cost, total loads per week. Yes, weekly loads times, yes, yes, yes. That looks good. Because that's going to make our total loads per week is going to be the weekly loads times the family size. So say for instance, we say each person is going to be given one load per week, and the family size is 3. That would give us 3 total loads per week. Then the total weekly cost is going to be the total loads per week times the cost per load. Okay, so yeah, that's right. Okay, now that we got the total cost per load, we're going to say total loads per week is equal to, but hold on. Oh, that's what we're taking away. Okay, got it. Okay, so the budget, that's that 55 minus the total weekly cost. That's going to give us the total, the savings budget. And that's going to be a weekly um, thing. Right. So that's all we have left to save. Okay, sounds good. Now we're going to take away the savings per week. And they're going to say if the total weekly cost is less than the budget, then we're going to just say savings per week is equal to the savings budget. And then this, otherwise the savings per week is 0. Okay, all right. And then calculate the time to save. So if the savings is greater than 0, then we're going to say weeks to save is the goal amount divided by the savings per week. Okay, yeah, that looks good. And then we're going to return the total weekly cost divided by the cost per load, the savings budget, and the weeks to save. Okay. All right, I can accept that, and then we're gonna just run it and see how it goes. Oh no. Okay, so it says that the max number of loads is 24. The saving budget is minus three, so the weeks to save is infinity. Uh, what did we say about it before? I know we said that we're going to try to do it without coding, but this is not working. Okay, so alright, so calculate the laundry. So wash cost, dry cost. So find out cost per load. So wash cost for the dry cost. Um, and then total loads per week is going to be um, loads per person. I really should call it loads per person, but yeah, so I think we'll call it loads per person. Okay, loads per person. Okay, then the goal amount, that's going to be the cost of a washer and dryer, and then the family size. Okay, so we got the cost per load, wash plus dry, and then we got the total loads per week, which is going to be the loads per person times the family size. I see I end up coding anyway, but it's okay. As long as we understand what the words mean, I just want it to work. Then times the family size, so that's the total loads per week. All right, um, so total weekly cost is going to be the total loads per week times the cost per load, which is that's going to be the 325 for our example. And then the savings budget is going to be the budget minus total weekly cost. Okay, so the savings budget. Okay, in our case, it said it was minus 23. But if we have $55 and okay, so maybe we have to go back to the drawing board. Let me pull out my calculator and see what it's doing. So right now we have $55 and we divide that by 325. That gives us 16.9. Um, okay, so well, let me clear that. So we really want to find out how much. So say for instance I put one for the total I mean loads per person, and then the family size is 3. So that give me 3. So the total weekly cost is 3 times 325. That gives us $9.75, right? That's that's way less than 55. So the savings budget should be 55 minus total weekly cost. The total weekly cost is 975. So if I subtract that from 55, that should be $45.25. Okay, so the saving budget is the budget minus total weekly costs. Total loads per week. Yes, it should be 3. 3 times 325. Yes, that should be right. And then the savings budget is going to be the budget, that's the 55, minus the total weekly cost, the 975. Okay, if the total weekly cost is less than the budget, okay, so maybe this is wrong. So if the total weekly cost, that's the 975, is less than the budget, which it is, then the savings per week equals the savings budget. Okay, otherwise the savings per week is 0. Okay, alright, so calculate the time to save. If the savings per week is greater than 0, okay, then the week to save is going to be the goal amount divided by the savings per week. Oh, the weeks to save is going to be the goal amount divided by, yes. Then the weeks to save, okay, otherwise, okay, so that works. Okay, so then, oh, okay. All right, so I think this is what happened. So the code is right. Well, it did say return total weekly cost divided by the cost per load, the savings budget, and then the weeks to save. I'm not really sure why it did it that way. Okay. So the total weekly cost divided by the cost per load. But I don't understand why they do that. I mean, that's just gonna give you back the weekly loads. Okay, so weekly loads, average number of loads per week, but actually it's not. It's gonna be delete. Let's say 1 because it's gonna be the average number of loads per person. And then the goal amount is 1200 and the family size is, oh, it was 4. Okay, let's put it to 3. Okay, so let's run it now and see what happens. Okay, all right. And the only thing that I would say is that we didn't have our defaults correct. Um, and that's the reason why it was giving us some crazy numbers because it had total weekly loads. Uh, so that's the reason why. So say for instance I said, okay, everybody can wash twice. Each person can do 2 loads per week. Then let's see if we still had some savings. Oh, okay. Yeah, the savings is $35. So that's not bad. And so but it would just take longer if you could see that. So let's go back to just 1 load a week. If everybody did one load a week and we run that, that's going to take 26. So 26 weeks is just 6 months. So it will only take you 6 months to save for a washer and dryer. Isn't that nice? Yeah, I like it. So if you're making $55 a week and that was your weekly budget, then that would be how long it take you to save up $1,200 for a new washer and dryer. Okay, so think um I think I'm gonna stop here because maybe next time we can go a little bit one step further. Tell me what you think about the generative AI, and how it was able to generate most of the code. I didn't really do too much in the way of making changes, but I did have to just make sure that the defaults were correct to make it make sense. So, because my math wasn't math, and I was like, what? Why is it showing infinity? So, yeah, I wasn't really sure why it was doing that, but now you know. And so that's just a nice example. I mean, I could go a little bit further, but then, wouldn't be staying within my time constraints. So let's save it for next time that we get together. We'll do a part two of the Laundry Budget Pro app. Okay. So we will, on the second one, I'll be a little bit more ready as far as, switching from scene to scene. And then we'll be able to um, talk about the next uh, iteration. So basically, I want to be able to update or modify the code to ask the user in real time during the time. So we'll make that the next iteration, is that we'll get user interaction on the app, right? And then the next one we'll try to do a little graphical user interface. We might use to Kinter, we can use some other graphical user interface like Pygame or something like that. So I'll decide and see. If you have a preference, go ahead and put it in the comments when you're watching this video. If you're watching this video on the rebroadcast, go ahead and put in comments what you would like to see for the next go around. So I have a special treat for those of you who have watched to the end. Um, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in to this um, broadcast. I don't know what you want to call it, but this video and this live presentation. So, because you have endured all my craziness and get, slow transitions, um, I got a special treat. Okay, so, um, yeah, this is just for the people that have watched to the end. So here we go. I got a special treat. Just hang tight, and I'm gonna put it up right now. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, I should have some like in between music to kind of, keep things going. And that way it won't be so bad trying to wait for uh the next thing to pop up. I do thank you so much for your patience. You guys are great. And if there's any questions that you have about the app, just let me know. Okay. It's very important you let me know because I can't know unless you tell me. Okay, so I'm going to, I don't know why it's not. Um, let's see. It's on there. Okay, there it is. Well, it's taking a long time to come up. All right. Thank you for tuning in to the